Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
You have failed this city.
Wow. I know, right? Hey! Quit messing around!
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well. For you guys.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me! Who's got you?
It's you, Lorraine. What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
But that is being human.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Slav's Free Talk, the Watchtower, where we talk all things DC. I am your host, Slav, and I tell you what, I'm excited to be here. It's early on Monday, February 2nd. Unfortunately, Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, which means another 6 weeks of winter. Unfortunately, it sucks. Dude, we've been getting crazy cold weather where I'm at. It sucks, but that's not why we're here. We're not here to talk about a groundhog or winter weather. No, we're here to talk about DC, and we're going to do just that. We're going to talk about James Gunn and the Brave and the Bold. We're going to talk about Supergirl, the Super Bowl. What could we expect from Supergirl's box office and more? So let's get into it. How's it going, everybody? I don't expect too many people to be in the comment section today because, again, it is noon Eastern time on a Monday. Typically, I do this late in the evening, but I wanted to try something out a little bit different today. And maybe that's why I'm a little more uppity. I don't know. I just seem like I'm more awake or something. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to have a blast with this show, regardless of how many people show up in the chat. Let's see. Speaking of which, who do we got? We've got Derpy. What is going on, Derpy? Glad to see you here. We also have Trevon in here, says, hey, Derpy. He says, thankfully, we're in the last full month of winter. Next month is spring. That is right, March. March cannot come fast enough. I tell you what. You know, I'm putting in the comments here because people are asking, why are you doing this so early? And I'm doing it early because I was laid off from my job a couple weeks ago, unfortunately. And I'm just trying some different things out. While I'm job searching, I'm going to do my channel here, you know, put up videos, do live shows, all that kind of stuff. I also have another show that I just started a couple weeks ago with a buddy of mine that's tech related. So if you're a tech fan, if you like Apple products and tech stuff, it's called Bite into Apple. You can check that out. But anyways, so what I'm doing is, you know, I'm doing this right now because I'm laid off. But the crazy thing is where I live, where I worked was up on a mountain. So I live off the mountain and I live up on the mountain. So for 12 years, every winter, I would have to travel up this mountain in treacherous weather and snow and ice. And I hated it. I hated it every winter. And I was laid off just a couple days before that huge snowstorm that hit the East Coast. And I didn't have to trudge up the mountain in that, so I thought it was pretty cool. I did enjoy that I didn't have to do that. But yeah, that's cool. Trayvon says, sure, it's not the espresso. I don't drink espresso. I do drink coffee from time to time. I do, and I do love me frappes. But no, I don't drink espresso. But I am a little uppity today. I know, I get it. That's all right. Let's move on because there's not a lot of DC news this week, but I do want to talk about a few things that came up over the last week or so. I also want to point out, if you didn't check out my newest iteration of a live show, which was this past week, called Reality Check. It was phenomenal. It was a great time. Think of it as, I don't know if you've ever seen the show with Brett Cooper called Comment Section or whatever. It's similar to that, where I just take comments from ridiculous comments made on the internet, DC related, and I kind of poke holes in them and have fun with it. So you can find that on the channel or even on a podcast catcher for near you on your phone. Whatever. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, people. All right, let's move on because I'm getting crazy right now and I'm losing viewers. Look at that. Trayvon says, I'm still at my job, but they've been cutting back so many hours that I've been contemplating looking for another job myself. Yeah, I mean, I recommend it. If you're not, I mean, if you're happy and you think that you're going to be safe, stay. But look, if they're cutting hours and you're worried about your job, and it doesn't hurt to be looking. I'm not going to lie, I was looking prior to everything going on, but it was just kind of like haphazardly looking. Like I would occasionally like look some jobs up and see what it was, what the market was like out there. I would apply for some here and there, but I never got any bites. And again, I was at that company specifically for 12 years, so I was like comfortable and making good money. So yeah, I mean, it sucked that they laid me off, but I want to at least try and find something that is not below me, or that I'm not going to hate. Like, I don't want to work somewhere where I hate. Like, I know I have a family, so I got to take care of my family, but you don't want to be miserable because then it just falls back onto your family. So yeah. Anyways, stuff. Let's talk about the stuff. This came out last week, I guess, just a couple days ago, actually. Jeff Snyder, a couple weeks ago, stated that Christina Hodson was writing Batman Brave and the Bold. And in that amount of time, or during that time, it was also hinted at that Andy Muschietti would still be directing the film. And I even said, I reached out to a couple people I know and just wanted clarification. Like, look, I'm not a big fan of Jeff Snyder. I'm not somebody who sits there and listens to everything Jeff Snyder says and bows down to him and everything like that. No, because he is a quote unquote scooper, con man, grifter, whatever you want to call him. He doesn't always give us the best information. Now, I reach out to a couple people I know that just, I look, they've given me bad information in the past. They've given me great information in the past. I just wanted to find out, like, look, is Christina Hodson writing and is Andy Muschietti still directing? And they confirmed to me, yes and yes, that Muschietti is still attached and Hodson was indeed writing the movie. Since that initial news broke, James Gunn basically confirmed the Christina Hodson aspect of it when he supported her and basically shot people down talking negative about her. But just recently, Jeff Snyder stated that James Gunn, or he hinted that James Gunn might be actually the one who directs Brave and the Bold after he's done with Man of Tomorrow. Now, Man of Tomorrow is supposed to go into production in April of this year. That's exciting. I'm excited about it. I can't wait for Man of Tomorrow. Superman was great. I'm looking forward to Man of Tomorrow, but I have trouble with this. I have trouble with this because James Gunn, there's two sides of it, actually. Let me put it this way. There's two sides of it. We know James Gunn is a huge Batman fan. He talks about it all the time. He talks about how Batman is his favorite character. He talks about how that was his entry point into comics and so on and so forth. He loves Batman. But on the other side, he's been building this Superman stuff, and he's probably going to continue that aspect of it for quite some time. Also, his style doesn't necessarily work for a Batman movie. And as much as people want to sit there and say that he is just full of himself, James Gunn is just all about James Gunn, he understands that. He knows what is best for characters. He knows what's best for the universe. So he's not going to direct a movie that he is incapable of directing. So with that said, I look at this news and say, I don't necessarily believe it. However, if for some reason Muschietti is not the one that will be directing Brave and the Bold or the DCU Batman, whatever it's going to be called, I wouldn't be shocked if James Gunn decided to direct it, because it is a movie that they need to get done. It is a movie that needs to be made. And he has been working with Christina Hodson on the script. He understands the script. He has the vision for the character, for the universe, for the world. And he could very easily transition from Man of Tomorrow into that movie very easily, very quickly, if he needed to do it. Now, does that mean that what Jeff Snyder here is saying is true? Not at all. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's not true. I've just not heard it from anybody else. I have not heard it from anybody else. I can see why some people would say it's true because of his love for the character, because of how much Batman means to him. But I also think that James Gunn needs to get back to work as being CEO or being co-head of DC Studios. He needs to relax a little bit. I get he made Superman. He did Peacemaker. He helped write and do Creature Commandos. Now he's doing Man of Tomorrow. I think he needs to kind of sit back a little bit. But why I also don't, why I'm okay with him directing and writing and stuff like that is because you have a Peter Safran as well. So I'm okay with him doing things occasionally. I just think that once he does Man of Tomorrow, he needs to finish that off, do the promotion, get that released, and then help guide the next few projects from behind the scenes, from behind his desk, essentially, and then jump into another project at some point. That's my opinion, because I'm fine with him directing and writing from time to time. I just don't think he should be directing and writing all of the big films right now. And that's the only reason why, for me, I don't want to see it happen. But again, I would not be surprised if they came and said, James Gunn is directing the Batman movie for the DCU. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't believe it's going to happen. I don't believe necessarily what Jeff Snyder here is saying. But I even think how he's putting it is that he's hinting that he might direct it. Similar to how I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised, because there is reason to believe that it could happen. It could. Anything's possible. I mean, if you throw shit at the wall, anything's possible. But I don't think it will, but anything's possible. But I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments, of course. Let me know. Do you think James Gunn will direct the DCU Batman? Do you think he should? Why or why not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right. Donovan immediately says, this isn't true. Donovan says, hope you saw what I tweeted last night. He then says again, this isn't true. He says, we shouldn't trust Jeff Snyder at all. The guy really misses with DC stuff more often than not. Again, he didn't necessarily sit there and say, hey, James Gunn is directing the Batman movie. He did not say that. He just said that he might direct it after Man of Tomorrow, which that's in a way what scoopers do to cover themselves, because if it ends up happening, he'd be like, look, I said it then how many years ago I said it. But if it doesn't happen, he can say, look, I just said it might happen. I just said it could. So it's a way of protecting himself, really. Trayvon says, I'm betting it's either Andy Muschietti or Drew Goddard. If they're not available and he can't find someone else suited to direct it, James Gunn might just be like, fine, I'll do it myself, in his Thanos voice. Donovan says, he's not doing every damn movie. You're right. And nor should he. Nor should he. Let's see. Donovan says, Snyder hints because he always has plausible deniability. Yes. Trayvon says, this is very parallel to John Lasseter directing almost everything within Pixar early output. Luxa Jr., Red's Dream, Tin Toy, Knick Knack, Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2. Yeah. I mean, again, I understand them wanting to get everything pushed in the right direction with DC immediately in the early stages, in the early years. But I think they also need to have that feel and tone of different directors and writers coming in. So, and again, I trust James Gunn. I do trust him, and he's not going to allow himself to get run down like he did when he did Peacemaker and Superman, because he was very run down then. So I think, look, this Batman movie has to get in production well before Superman comes out, in my opinion, or Man of Tomorrow comes out, in my opinion. I think this movie has to be in production before Man of Tomorrow is released. So finished, and then they can go into production of Batman. But James Gunn doesn't typically do that. James Gunn doesn't typically go into production with one thing while he's still in the final stages of another. He will complete an entire project before jumping into another. So personally, I just think that's the way it's going to play out, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. This came out via Deadline that Supergirl is expected to sit out this year's Super Bowl, which means the trailer. There's no trailers expected to come out during the Super Bowl. There's actually a number of studios who are sitting out the Super Bowl this year. This is something that I've been saying for how long now? And all of you viewers, all of you listeners can attest to this who have been watching and following me for a while. I have been stating that Supergirl is going to follow a very similar marketing strategy of that of Superman. Yes, I know it's going to be shifted about a week or two in differences, but it's going to follow a very similar marketing strategy. First off, spending millions and millions of dollars on a 30-second ad on the Super Bowl just to then put a trailer online doesn't make any sense. So it's not a missed opportunity, especially when it's probably a safe bet to think that they're going to have a Spider-Man trailer and an Avengers trailer and some other Odyssey trailer and who knows what else. Like, there's going to be some big trailers playing on or around the day of the Super Bowl. So Supergirl could easily get drowned out. So it's not a smart move. I see Donovan says, I heard the Puppy Bowl will tease Supergirl. Again, I don't think so, because remember, last year we didn't get a tease of Superman at the Puppy Bowl. So if they do another collaboration with the Puppy Bowl, I think it's going to be very similar to what we got last year. And that's fine. I don't think it's going to be James Gunn sitting there talking, but maybe it'll be something similar where it's the cast. Maybe Millie Alcock talks about, a pet that she had or something. I don't know exactly, but I don't think they're going to have a teaser even at the Puppy Bowl. Personally, I think it'll be just like Superman, which was just a few weeks after the Super Bowl, we got a new trailer, and that's what's going to happen here. There's no reason to push out a trailer at the Super Bowl. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. I mean, when there's so much other noise going on around that time, there's no need for it. But what does that mean for things? Because I love what Movie Hubbub says right here, because he says, have you covered realistic box office expectations? Curious to watch your take. I compare what they'll expect for a win as doing Thunderbolt's numbers, $400 million, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, would be right on for Supergirl. She has no massive historical franchise success, such as Spider-Man, etc. So this leads into this, because what a lot of people are going to say is, oh, they're not going to showcase Supergirl at the Super Bowl. Oh, that's just asking for a complete missed opportunity to get more money at the box office. And that's not the case at all. If you ask me, I will be posting this article later today or tomorrow at /freetalk.com, but there is an expectation for Supergirl. There really is. And the expectation for Supergirl isn't necessarily 700, 800, a billion. It's not. I don't even believe that the expectation for Supergirl is $618 million, which would be $1 million more than what Superman made. I don't even think it's that. Because realistically, as Movie Hubbub said there, it doesn't have the franchise. He says it doesn't have the historical franchise success, nor does it have the excitement behind the character. It doesn't. So I don't see it opening like Superman. I think it's because it's not a mainstream box office brand, at least not yet. It's not going to draw like a Superman, a Batman, or a Spider-Man. And we know Spider-Man's going to be huge this year. We know that Batman's always pretty big. Superman did really well, but I don't think that Supergirl's going to even hit that. I'm not saying it's not possible, but we also have to look at the star, Millie Alcock. Fantastic actor, but she's not a household name yet. At least not yet. We do have some strong supporting characters in someone like Jason Momoa, who is fantastic and looks great as Lobo, but he's only in it in a supporting role, limited time on screen. Yes, he may help boost a little bit of draw to the film, but he is not the main box office draw. And then let's not forget that when it releases does matter. And while it doesn't have a lot of competition immediately right around the film, the couple weeks following the movie, people will be going to the movies a lot in the summer, and it can very well lessen the amount of people who go to see it because there's so much to go see. Do I think that's going to be a big factor in it? No. But again, that is a factor that you may need to look at. You also have to look at the whole female-led superhero film type of stuff, because Wonder Woman back in 2017 did really well at $820 million box office with a over $400 million domestic draw. Captain Marvel in 2019 made $1.1 billion with a $425-ish million domestic draw. However, the latest real female-led film, which was the Marvels back a few years ago, only made $200 million worldwide at the box office with a domestic draw of about $85 million. Now, here's the thing. You also have to take a look at what's been going on in the world politically. You have to take a look at what's been going on with the genre, things like that, because the genre has cooled off quite a bit. It really had. I mean, I've talked about it how many times. When you look at the average box office for these movies over the last number of years, from 2023, where it was about 395 to about 450 million in 2024, it did have an uptick in 2025 to averaging about $485 million average box office, which is great. That is absolutely great because we're seeing it go back up, but it's still far away from what it used to be. So they're not these billion-dollar spectacles anymore, nor should we think that a female-led superhero movie can hit that billion-dollar mark, especially because the political side of things shows that a lot of people aren't as interested in the female-led superhero genre. That doesn't mean it's not going to be a good movie. That doesn't mean that Millie Alcock is going to be awesome in the film. It just highlights what is going on politically in this world. And personally, I'm looking forward to the movie. I hope that they don't push their certain political agendas, left-leaning agendas in it, because that would be a shame. But it is a possibility. And if they do that, that will affect the box office. However, if they just stay true to the comic book character and true to what the genre is supposed to be, about a hero, about saving the world, quote unquote, the world, and just having heroic moments, this movie could be pretty big. So again, you got to take a look at a lot of things like that. So what could it realistically make? Honestly, I think a very conservative number would say between 400 to 500, 475, somewhere around that. That's a conservative number. And I think, look, people are going to be interested in it, but much like Superman, they're going to say, look, it's going to be on streaming in just a couple months. Why not wait for streaming? And they're not going to just do that with Supergirl. They're going to do it with other films as well. But Supergirl isn't a must-see film of the year, where Spider-Man, The Odyssey, The Avengers, those are must-see films because you don't want to be left out of the event, out of the conversation. So, yeah, I think Supergirl could suffer from that. However, I think the most likely area is between 500 and 600 million, because I think that there will be a solid audience response. And as long as there's a solid response and great reviews, the Momoa boost, and there's a lot of good word of mouth, I think this is a more likely scenario. And even if the word of mouth gets really strong, you could see upwards of over 600 million, even upwards to 700 million. And that is, look, unlikely, but it's always possible depending on how great the movie is. So my call is 550 million. Give or take a little bit. That's really what I think is going to happen with Supergirl. Does that mean that what they do at the Super Bowl is going to affect this? No. If they show a trailer during the Super Bowl, around the Super Bowl, it's not going to hurt it. It's not going to help it. But if they don't, it's not going to hurt it. It's not going to help it. Like, that's what people need to understand. They showed a teaser a couple months ago. And then they're going to start showing more and more. You're going to start seeing things pop up online, pop up on store shelves. Remember how the Superman marketing went last year? It's going to be very similar. And them not having a teaser or a trailer during the Super Bowl did nothing. It didn't hurt the movie at all. It didn't. So I think people can calm down from that. So the biggest question is, if it hits 550 million, is that underperforming? No, it's not underperforming. People, look, I say it time and time again. This DCU, this new franchise, this new universe is an investment for DC Studios and Warner Brothers right now. They have to get back the audience who left because the old DCEU was in shambles, because it was just horrendous. Nobody cared about it. On top of that, the genre as a whole has been struggling for a number of years. 2025, you saw some strong outings. Superman, Fantastic Four. They had strong box office outings, a lot of great reception, and even Thunderbolts had a really strong reception. So you're seeing that there's some resurgence, that people are starting to get interested again. Look, Wonder Man just came out last week and people loved it. The genre is getting a bit of a resurgence, which is great to see. But it's not quite there. Warner Brothers and DC Studios understands that. They understand that they're in the early stages of this resurgence. Sure, Spider-Man, gonna make a billion. Avengers, gonna make over $1 billion. That is guaranteed because those are big event films. But when it comes to DC, when it comes to Warner Brothers and their outlook for what's going on, they know that they have to invest to get the audience back. And the reception of the movies is just as important, if not more so, than the box office it takes immediately in the early stages of this universe. So would 550 million be a disaster? Would it be a flop? Would it be horrendous and underperforming? No, it wouldn't. All it would mean is, hey, guess what? Supergirl is doing exactly what it needs to do. It's bringing people back. As long as it has great reception, it's bringing people back into enjoying DC. And it's a great stepping stone to continue building this universe. But yeah, that's pretty much it. When it comes to Supergirl, there's a lot of great things going on. And I hope you guys take a look at this when it posts on my website later today. Read over it all. And then I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think it's terrible that Supergirl is not going to have a trailer at the Super Bowl? Do you think it hurts it? Do you think it helps it? Do you think it doesn't matter? Let me know. What do you think it's going to make at the box office when all is said and done? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What's going on over here? Boy. Donovan says, hey, Slav, I did DM you something. Okay. Trayvon says, according to Deadline, neither Spider-Man or Avengers will have a Super Bowl trailer as well. Well, I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, I think Avengers will have something probably. Was it last year they put out Fantastic Four? Wasn't it like a week later or a few days later, a few days before or something? Again, I think that these companies are going to start following more closely. Like, take a look at what they did last year. They're going to follow a similar structure, I think. However, Doomsday is so far out still. It comes out in December. It comes out in December. Like, putting out a full trailer in February just doesn't make sense, in my opinion. It's possible, but I think the focus will be more so on Spider-Man for sure, but you never know. You never know. Let's see. Blood Ocean says there's many Supergirl fans out there. I'm there just because I'm a DC loyalist, but what do I know? Oh yeah, there's absolutely Supergirl fans out there. Absolutely. But are they in the numbers of Spider-Man? Are they in the numbers of Batman? No, they're not. I mean, they're out there, just not in the same capacity as others. Trayvon says Momoa was a supporting cast in Minecraft, and that movie almost made $1 billion. Yeah, but you also have to remember Minecraft is the biggest video game of all time. That's something that I ignored as myself whenever it was coming out. I didn't realize I knew how big the game was, but I didn't know how much of an impact it would have on the theatrical going audience. And it did. It played a big role. And Momoa, I would say Momoa was more the main. I mean, he wasn't the main, but I don't know. I only kind of haphazardly watched it once, so I don't remember. I guess the kids were a little bit more the main characters than he was, but he had a pretty decent chunk part in that movie. He's not going to have as big of a role in Supergirl as he did there. Trayvon says, in the words of headcanon, Captain Marvel only succeeded because Marvel sold it as a teaser to Endgame. I agree. I do agree with that. Donovan says, people are interested in female superheroes. It's not going to be woke. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be woke. I'm not saying it is. But you have a big enough crowd out there who believe that anything women led, female led, is automatically woke. I've already had an argument with people on X about that. So the fact is, even if it's not woke, you're fighting that battle. But if for some reason they put some of that left leaning agenda and narrative into that movie in any way, shape, or form, it will hurt that film. And let's not forget, look, and I know it's hard to combat this, but when you have a female led superhero film going against a male villain, it's going to be hard to get past that. And you're going to have those people out there who are just going to rag on it because of that. And it's a shame. It really, really is a shame, but that's what's going to happen. So again, that is an uphill battle for the film. Blood Ocean says Thunderbolts is great, and you could argue it's female led, regardless of the box office. As we know, box office doesn't equal quality. I agree that box office never, ever, ever equals quality. Female led, I mean, Florence Pugh was pretty much the lead in that, sure, but it was more of an ensemble cast, and I think that's why it's not viewed as a female led. But I see your point. Trayvon says, I can totally see $425 million minimum for Supergirl. Trayvon also says, what Doom Thunderbolts was its massive production budget. Was it a massive production budget? Because they only had like four locations in that entire film. Like they had the highway scene, which was in a desert. They had the vault scene. They had the beginning, the opening sequence, which was used, that same like lab area was used in the beginning and in the end. Then you had the old Avengers Tower scene, and right outside that. So like there weren't a lot of set pieces in that movie. I don't know why the production budget would be that high. I really don't. Donovan says F4 put out their trailer the week of Super Bowl. That's what I thought. I thought Fantastic Four put it out like the week of or the week after. And again, we could see that with Spider-Man. I could see Spider-Man doing that, because why waste the money at the Super Bowl when you're going to get the same amount of views regardless? I mean, think about it. You're going to get the same amount of views. Donovan says, I mean, Wicked released the first footage in February and the movie didn't come out till November. Yeah, I mean, again, I get that. But Doomsday also just released how many of these little clip teaser things? What was it, 4 or 5 or 6? I don't know. How many was it? And they just did that less than a month ago. We got just a couple weeks ago, we got the final one. So I don't see why we wouldn't get a full trailer at this point. Let's see. Blood Ocean says woke has become misconstrued. To a point, I agree. Yes, it has. All right. This one, I love this. James Gunn posted on his threads a great photo, he says, with the great comics writers and artists who inspired Superman. And he is there with Jim Lee and a bunch of other people who helped inspire Superman, specifically his version of Superman. Of course, you have David Cornsweet there, Superman, and Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. But this is great to see. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because I think it's important to notice, like, we're seeing, and we've seen this actually over a number of years now, for 6+ years, maybe longer, how these artists, these writers, these creators who help create these stories and some of these new characters in comics never get the recognition they deserve when they end up showing up on screen. And we've seen a lot of these artists come out and criticize specifically Marvel Studios for doing just that. They're not getting any kind of compensation, and they're not getting any kind of recognition. And I think you need to, at least at the very bare minimum, show some recognition and appreciation for these creators, the writers, the artists who help put these characters in comics, especially if they're specific comics that help inspire the stories that you're telling. And James Gunn is doing just that. But let's not forget, people, James Gunn is all about himself, as one section of the fandom loves to tout all the time. He's not. He loves to highlight other creators. He loves to show off. Look, I was inspired by these people, by these amazing, amazing creators. And he's one of the few studio heads to do this. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I hope he continues to do this with every project that comes out moving forward. Highlight those creators. Highlight Tom King. Highlight, whoever created the characters that you're going to be putting on screen. Like, highlight them. He does it with the characters. He loves to post, hey, happy birthday to Jimmy Olsen, who came out, or happy anniversary to Jimmy Olsen, who came out on this day, how many years ago, created by this person. It's like, he does that. Marvel doesn't. And it's a great thing to see. And I think I think people need to give him a lot more credit for that, because we don't see it enough. We just don't. All right, next up, and final thing to talk about here. So, a post was posted on social media of Zack Snyder and David Ayer together. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! It's happening! It's happening! Oh jeez! It's happening! I can just see the other YouTubers right now who love to peddle the Snyderverse Restored stuff. I can see what they're gonna say, and here it is, folks. Zack Snyder and David Ayer, a picture of them together. You know something's cooking. You know something's brewing. You know something's coming. Why else would those two be together? Like, that's exactly what they're going to say. And it just baffles me. It absolutely baffles me, because they love to twist these ideas and these things to make it seem like it's something it's not. Okay? First off, David Ayer posts this photo, and then you have somebody, Ayer cut is happening. Why would that mean the Ayer cut is happening? Why would that mean the Ayer cut is happening at all? Zack Snyder cannot say release the Ayer cut. He's not part of DC Studios. He's not part of Warner Brothers in any capacity, especially in an executive role, that could sit there and say, release the Ayer cut. So the fact that David Ayer and Zack Snyder are hanging out, how does that correlate to the Ayer cut is happening? But then you're going to have the people who say, oh, they're meeting because they're going to be working on the return of the Snyderverse together, and they're going to work on it together. First off, have you ever worked with somebody before? Like, I'm sure some of you have had jobs, and you've made acquaintances at those jobs, maybe even friends. And have you ever seen each other outside of work and hung out? Have you ever found each other at an amusement park or at another park or somewhere like that? Does that automatically mean, oh, you guys are together in this place that isn't the same place that you've worked at before? Guess what? You're going to start working together again. That's immediately what that means. Because you guys are now meeting 5 years after you work together, you're working together again. Like, that's not what that means. People love to just twist everything and everything that they can, because they think they want so desperately for the Snyderverse to come back for no damn reason besides the fact that they want to be right. Be damned what Zack Snyder thinks. Be damned what David Ayer thinks. No. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that they didn't do this on purpose. David Ayer 100% knew posting this photo, he was going to get a lot of traction because it's Zack Snyder. He knew that he was going to get all the Snyder Bros getting excited. Let's also not forget, though, that the Snyder Bros turned on David Ayer a few years ago when he supported James Gunn. But he doesn't really care about that. He doesn't even care about these fans, nor does Zack Snyder, because it's all about just getting recognized, just getting the clicks, just getting the likes. And people can't understand that. People can't understand that. Hey, remember me? I'm David Ayer. Look, this guy's Zack Snyder. Remember me? Oh yeah, look, it's happening. Click, share, share. That's all it is. That's all it is. But people just lose their damn minds because they think they're going to get what they want when there's no basis, no truth, no fact to any of it at all. At all. And it's just pathetic. It is absolutely pathetic. Like, Aircut is happening. Like, I couldn't help but just laugh out loud seeing that. People are so delusional. So absolutely delusional. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Let's see. According to Variety, okay, so maybe I was wrong. Let's just pull this up because Donovan sent this. It says, according to Variety, DC Studios will tease Supergirl at the Puppy Bowl this Sunday. Let's pull it up. Let's see what it says via Variety. Super Bowl trailers, Mandalorian and Grogu, Disclosure Day, Minions 3 lined up for game day. Star Wars, okay, blah, blah, blah. Mandalorian. Let's see here. Where are we at? However, DC Studios will tease Supergirl during the Puppy Bowl, which is airing on Animal Planet, a TV network owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. I mean, that's all it says. So maybe they do it. Maybe they do it. Maybe they're learning because of what happened last year. Maybe they realize people were so upset at what happened last year, they're going to do it this year instead. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Obviously, this could be the last year that we get any kind of tease. I see cornbread down here. Is this going to be a tradition or something? Puppy Bowl, but no Super Bowl. Let's not forget that once Netflix buys the Warner Brothers stuff, they will not have access to Animal Planet at that point. I believe Animal Planet stays with Discovery, so that doesn't mean that they would be utilizing that. But anyways, yeah, I mean, that's where it is right now. So it's a possibility. Thank you for that, Donovan. All right. But let's see here. Blood Ocean says, actual comic book writers love to see it. Indeed. Gotham City Cat. Hi, everyone. I'm not quite new here, but I am a fan of Slav. Do you think we will get a full Supergirl trailer this Super Bowl week? Well, just talked about that they're going to tease something at the Puppy Bowl, apparently, according to Variety. So will it be a full trailer? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see, I guess. We'll see. Let's see. Blood Ocean goes, what a jump when talking about the Ayer stuff. Trayvon says, Crisis on Infinite Earth trilogy would like a word with you, Snyder Bros. Donovan, this guy thinks that the merger equals Ayer cut. Maybe. Blood Ocean, do they want a medal for jumping through that hoop? I mean, that's a massive hoop to jump through, so maybe they do. Donovan says, you going to read Brad's tweet? I didn't read the tweet, did I? I didn't read his tweet, his crazy tweet. And where did it go? I lost it. Look at me screwing everything up. That's unfortunate. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Here, I'll pull it up and read it for you. No, let's see here. He says, is there anything actively in the works with respect to, what associated with both these filmmakers? With the Warner Brothers Netflix merger in progress, maybe, maybe not. But make no mistake, Zach and David absolutely know what they're doing here. And again, they do. They know exactly what they're doing here. They're screwing with the fan base. Exactly screwing with the fan base. That's all they're doing there. It's pathetic. It's pathetic and ridiculous. Blood Ocean, I think Jared Leto is working on new stuff with his brand, and Margot Robbie is past playing Harley. I don't know. I don't know about that. Okay. Anyways, you guys got anything else for me here? Because that's all I got. Like I said, there wasn't a lot of DC related news this past week, but there were a few things that I wanted to talk about, and I think I covered them mostly. I do encourage you to hit that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Share this around to your grandmothers, your aunts, your uncles, your grandfathers, your fathers, your daughters, whatever it is. Share this around. Like I said earlier, I do have another show that's not related to pop culture, but tech. It is related to technology. So if you are a fan of tech, if you like Apple products, if you like technology, head over to Bite into Apple on YouTube or on your podcatching apps today and start following along with that, where me and my co-host Colton talk about technology. But yeah, I guess that's about it today, guys. This was a nice shorter show, but wasn't a lot to talk about. That's okay. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about all these things, so make sure you throw it in the comments below. And with all that said, guys, I will catch you the end of this week, most likely Friday, with another DC reality check. All right, I will catch you all.
And one